Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Mr. Honeya for day 10 of distance learning. We have made it through these 2 weeks, and now we're getting ready for spring break. So definitely give yourselves a hand for that. I know this process hasn't always been the easiest, but we've made it so far. So before we get into our lesson for today, I just want to go ahead and give you guys a quick update regarding grades and late work. I will be doing a zero drop some point today, okay? So you guys will see a bunch of zeros probably popping in if you have not done your work. As I have mentioned, there is not going to be a late penalty for work, assuming that you get it in before the course locks for this first round of distance learning assignments. So if you see a zero, don't treat it as, oh my lord, I just got a zero. Treat it as, okay, Mr. Honeya has now told me what I am missing, and as long as you get it turned in before the 13th, you can still get, the possible full credit and not worry about a late penalty. And also, if you've done any paper assignments, make sure to take a picture of the assignment and then send it to me either through Canvas or to the email mrhoneya@gmail.com. But at this time, we're going to go ahead and get into our lesson today. So you guys do have a short set of notes, and this is going to be on information that, is probably very, very close to what a lot of you may have experienced. So we're going to be talking mostly about teen issues. So for today, we've got notes on bullying, cyberbullying, and hazing, and then you guys have a simple, easy little assignment to submit. So, my dog is drinking water. And now she's eating kibble. Are you good now? Okay. All right, so go ahead and get those notes out and we will begin. So the first thing we want to talk about is peer pressure, which is basically the influence that a group of people may have on an individual. This can be very subtle or very forceful and can also be very positive or negative. And depending on how an individual is susceptible to peer pressure, it can actually facilitate high-risk behaviors. So as I previously mentioned, peer pressure can be forceful, can also be subtle. And one of the more, forceful sides of it can be bullying. So bullying is a form of peer pressure, and then one of the two things that we're going to really reiterate here is cyberbullying, which is harassing someone through a digital medium like a cell phone or social media or something like that. And then we also have hazing, which are challenges, rituals, and tasks that one must go through in order to gain acceptance.
Go kill yourself. Why are you still alive? You are so ugly. Rebecca Sedgwick, an 11-year-old girl from Florida, received those mean, hurtful, tormenting, and embarrassing messages on her social media. They would ultimately lead her to jump off of her town's water tower to her death. In the fall of 2013, I would come home from school to read that story. I was stunned, shocked, and I was heartbroken. How could a girl younger than myself be pushed to take her own life? That's when I knew I had to do something to stop this from ever happening again. But the pain and the misery that Rebecca endured, it had already happened. The damage was done. My name is Trisha Prabhu. I'm 14 years old, and I'm from the great city of Naperville in Illinois in the United States. I'm passionate to stop cyberbullying at the source before the damage is done. I'm a big dreamer, and I believe that everyone should have the right to dream, persist in their dream, and see that become a reality. So when I read Rebecca's story, I immediately wondered, were there any others like her out there that were suffering as well? I'd soon learn that she was one of a countless many. Megan Muir died 3 weeks before her 14th birthday. She hung herself in her bedroom closet where her mother would find her when coming up to get her for dinner. She'd received messages like, "The world would be a better place without you," on her MySpace account. The damage was done, and Megan suffered the consequences. Tyler Clementi was an 18-year-old student at Rutgers University. He was just getting used to college life and his new gay identity. One day, his roommate and a friend decided to use a webcam and a laptop to stream some of Tyler's most intimate moments with his boyfriend all over social media. The damage was done. Humiliated, Tyler took his life, jumping off of the George Washington Bridge. I wish more than anything that I could rewrite those stories. I wish I could make every perpetrator rethink what they did. But what if I could do that? What if I could stop the damage before it was done? Would Megan, Tyler, and Rebecca still be alive today? Cyberbullying is a huge problem. 52% of adolescents in the United States alone have been cyberbullied. And 38% of them suffer suicidal tendencies. Let's look at it from a global perspective. 1/4 of the world's population are adolescents. We're talking 1.8 billion teens. Imagine then, in this social media revolution, how more and more of them are getting on social media and more of them are being cyberbullied. So why do kids cyberbully? Look, I might be biased, but I'm pretty sure that kids are not mean devils that run around with cruel intentions. I don't know about you, that's what I think. And what about adults? Are they nice or mean on social media? Now, when it comes to adults, I wasn't really sure. So I had to do some research to figure that out. So that year, for my science experiment at school, I decided to look at how age affected the willingness to post offensive messages on social media sites. What did I find? This younger age group, ages 12 to 18, was 40% more willing to post an offensive message than an older age group. Okay, the number didn't surprise me. But why? Why was that younger age group so much more willing to post an offensive message? I started to do a lot of research. And one day I came across an article, and it had one sentence that would forever change my view on this problem. They said, "The adolescent brain is likened to a car with no brakes. High speed, no pausing, no thinking, no considering. We just act." So why is it like that? Our brains are kind of weird. They develop from the back to the front, which means that our front part of brain, it's not fully developed until age 25. Why is that a problem? Well, prefrontal cortex, it controls decision-making skills, rash, impulsive decisions, spur-of-the-moment feelings. So that's why adolescents don't think before they act. They just go ahead and do something. Whether it's downing 15 Red Bulls on a dare, skipping an English final, doing something crazy, we don't really think before we do it. Well then, I was venting about this to a friend. I was like, gosh, this is horrible. And she said, Trisha, I really admire your passion, but you've been talking about this for the last 50 minutes as if you just discovered it. It's a huge problem, but social media sites are already doing stuff to stop this. And I went, oh yeah, you're right. But I'd soon find that what social media sites are doing is really nothing. Their mechanism is a stop, block, tell method. You stop what you're doing if you're the victim, you block the cyberbully, and you immediately go tell a parent or guardian. Sounds pretty reasonable, but here's what actually happens. Adolescents, we're kind of afraid to tell people that we're being cyberbullied. Research shows that 9 out of 10 times, victims don't tell anyone that they're being cyberbullied. What's more, why are we putting the burden on the victim to block the cyberbully? Why aren't we changing the behavior in the actual cyberbully? And it angered me. There wasn't a single effective way to stop cyberbullying, and it was a silent pandemic that was affecting so many people around the world. That's when I had an idea. I know from my research that adolescents don't think before they do things, right? So what if they didn't think before they type? What if I gave them a chance to think about what they were doing? If an adolescent tried to post an offensive message on social media, if I went, whoa, hold on, you're about to post an offensive message to someone, that could really hurt them. Are you sure you want to post this message? Would they still be as willing to do it? I had no idea, but I was ready to find out. So that year, using my science and technology skills, I created 2 software systems. And basically, they were able to compare whether an alert that prompted adolescents to think about what they were doing actually decreased their willingness to post offensive messages. So for 4 to 6 weeks, I basically lived at my local library. All the kids were always giving me weird looks. But, in the end, it was totally worth it. I was able to get 1,500 valid trials of data. And what did I find? 93% of the time, when adolescents receive an alert that says, whoa, you're about to post an offensive message, they change their mind. I was able to decrease the willingness to post offensive messages from 71.4% to 4.6%. Think about that. My research proved that rethink before you type, rethink before you post, rethink before the damage is done is an effective, long-term method to stop cyberbullying at the source before the damage is done. So rethink has become insanely popular, I'm glad to say. Just a few weeks ago, I was at the Google Science Fair for my research. I'm a global finalist, and I also currently... Thank you. And I also currently hold a United States provisional patent for this idea. So now my main goal is getting this out there as a product and stopping cyberbullying. I'm currently working tirelessly to create a Chrome extension browser and a mobile add-on for mobile platforms. That way Rethink can go global and stop cyberbullying before the damage is done. Steve Jobs once said, "Simple can be harder than complex. Original, much harder than derived. But when you get there, it's worth it because you can move mountains." He is so right. Rethink has proved that in those few seconds, when you decide whether or not you're going to hit post, those few seconds mean so much in the future. So whether you're about to post an offensive message about the fat girl that sits ahead of you in your class, or your annoying boss, that can mean the fat girl's life or your job. So I encourage all of you, rethink before the damage is done. Very rarely in this connected world do we remember we need to slow down, pause, think about what we're doing. We're posting a message, and that has significance. So choose to rethink. Rethink before you type, before the damage is done. Thank you.
So, as you can see from the video, cyberbullying is a big issue, and it is very, very strong with teenagers. And one of the reasons that is if you think about how teenagers think, you're looking into ideas such as impulsivity, and then you're also seeing where they're thinking with that amygdala, so they're thinking off emotional reactivity. And a lot of times, most people don't sit there and think about the effects of what their actions can cause. So based off the video you just saw, I want you guys to really think about what you're sending in terms of, text messages, social media, photos, Instagram, all that good stuff. Because it's very important, because you never know how what you send can be interpreted, and you also may never know how someone may feel about what you send them. And it's not just with cyberbullying, that's just in general communication. When you talk to somebody, when you're texting someone, sending an email, think about the person you're sending it to, how they may interpret what you send. But continuing on with bullying in South Carolina, we actually have a law that's technically supposed to prohibit bullying in schools, and it's known as the Safe Schools Climate Act. And then this also considers and covers cyberbullying as well. There have been instances where people have gone to jail, they've been fined. I've even heard of instances where parents have been held liable for their child's behavior, because more and more of these types of laws are becoming more and more prominent in schools. And lastly, I want to touch on hazing. So hazing actually involves using embarrassment, physical force, mind games, etc., and putting someone through a series of often dangerous tasks in order to gain membership into a group. And a lot of these times, people that endure hazing, they do it in order to gain acceptance or feel like they belong to a group. And with hazing, a lot of times you hear about it on college campuses. For example, I was in a fraternity when I was in college, and every time I tell someone that, they're always like, "Oh, were you hazed?" Because oftentimes hazing is associated with college fraternities and sororities. Now, I was never hazed, but I have heard stories about other chapters at other colleges who did stupid stuff. I remember one story, and I can't remember what school this happened at, but apparently it was customary for the older fraternity members to tie the president of the incoming pledge class to a tree. And this tree would be in the front of the fraternity house. And then all of the active members of the fraternity would sit in the windows with paintball guns. And they would scream at the pledge class to protect their incoming pledge class president. And then these active brothers would shoot paintballs at the president. And then you would have all these, incoming pledge class members diving in front of paintballs to try to protect the pledge class president. And, that was something that was very dangerous. It could be very, very demeaning. It's just one of examples as how bad hazing can be. And hazing can actually get really worse when they start doing things related to binge drinking, forcing people to drink, do drugs, putting people through tests where, their bodies can't handle the elements and the weather and things like that. So it can be very, very dangerous. And it's not just limited to Greek life. I've heard about sports teams doing it, and also it's not just limited to colleges. There have been many instances across America where high school students have actually gone through hazing to gain acceptance or to feel like they belong on a sports team or to be involved in a club or organization. And it's something that can be very, very dangerous to a person, not only physically, but can also be mental as well as emotional as well. Because there have been instances where people have died because of this. So that's going to conclude for the notes today. And for your assignment, it's going to be very, very easy. It's kind of going along with, the drawing and the folders and the PSA and that kind of stuff. So for today, you guys are going to do a bullying, hazing, and peer pressure assignment. For this assignment, you're going to create a PSA, either a poster, a video, an audio recording, however you want to do it. And basically, it's going to be something that showcases your research knowledge about bullying, hazing, whatever, and why we should stop. So, the PSA must include 3 to 5 facts about bullying, hazing, whatever. So these facts should be statistical and they can be about the results of bullying. They can be about the different ways that people try to hide being bullied. You can talk about how kids are bullied. So what you're doing is you're going to go and browse the internet and see what information you can find about how people are bullied and then the statistics behind it. You may find that maybe more girls are bullied through social media and most boys are bullied through text. Or you might find that social media is one of the major outlets of bullying nowadays. Or you can even go into talking about the idea of like internet bullying and anonymity, because many of you I know, you post up pictures of yourself on Instagram, you post YouTube videos because you feel like you're doing good content, you want to put it out there, and someone can go in the comments section and absolutely trash you. And the thing about it is how often is that anonymous? So just talking a lot about how people are bullied, talking about the statistics behind it, and you're just either going to make a video of it, just a podcast, like an audio recording, or you can draw it out as a picture, however you want. And then it must present a clear message that we must stop bullying, and then also present an idea as to how we stop it. So what you're going to do is you're going to find 3 to 5 facts, talk about it. Then you're going to literally say, talk about how this is a problem and why it should stop. And then you're going to talk about, in your idea, how we can stop this. What maybe can Instagram and Snapchat and all these people do to help stop bullying? What maybe can parents do to help stop bullying? What can y'all do? What actions do y'all feel that y'all could take in order to make bullying less of a problem? So that's going to do it for the video today. Make sure you get your assignment done, submitted your notes. Also, make sure that you, don't freak out about the 0 drop. Just use it as, okay, this is Mr. Honea showing me what he has not received, and then getting those assignments turned in. All right. So you guys know what it is. Mr. Honea, I will see you guys after spring break.